I have this duality in my life where I am a luxury fashion content creator and I get to travel the world, visit beautiful places, go to fashion shows, work with amazing people. But then I'm also this girl who Monday to Friday wakes up and goes to an office and sits in a cubicle. I'm like Hannah Montana. I manage these dualities in my life, fashion and corporate world.
Welcome back to The Materialist. I am Marc Bridge, the founder and CEO of At Present, matchmaker to extraordinary jewelry, and I am your host. Today we are coming to you from New York Fashion Week, and I have the great pleasure of sitting with a friend of At Present, a native of, maybe not a native Toronto, but a resident of Toronto, Sommyyah Awan. Sommyyah, good morning.
Good morning. I am so excited to be here and so excited to talk about all things jewelry and Fashion Week and whatever.
These are good topics of all of the things that you can chat about. For those of our listeners who don't know you, I know you share the same love of flying around the world that I do. And when you're sitting next to somebody on a plane and you strike up a conversation and they ask you, oh, so what do you do? What do you tell them?
This is an interesting question because I have this duality in my life where I am a luxury fashion content creator and I get to travel the world, visit beautiful places, go to fashion shows, work with amazing people. But then I'm also this girl who Monday to Friday wakes up and goes to an office and sits in a cubicle and has a very boring, but also very, how do I say it? What is the right word? Fulfilling job, something that I worked towards my entire life. And so when people ask me, who are you? I'm like Hannah Montana. I manage these dualities in my life, fashion and corporate world.
And in the corporate world, what are you doing? What is the meaning coming from?
I do corporate communications for the public service and focus on internal communications. So that's a mouthful. So I usually say I'm a communication strategist. It's the best way to define my role.
And you have been a relatively recent entrant into the world of content and social media.
Yeah.
But did your experience and your training in communications help set the foundation for that?
Yes. So there was definitely learning about how the traditional communications world operates, how a media room operates, how to navigate issues, which when you're on social media, I feel like you're navigating issues on a daily basis. But I've been chronically online since I was 17. I'm in my 30s now. I had a blog back in the day and good old Tumblr and Blogspot days. And I used to blog about fashion. And at the ripe old age of 17, I had 30K followers, and my parents were like, you need to get a more traditional career, so maybe focus on finishing high school and getting into a good school. So I put that on the back burner, and then I started social media. We went to school, university, studying international relations and global affairs, which...
You grew up in Texas.
I grew up in Texas, yes, but I moved from Texas to Toronto, went to University of Toronto because they had a great program focused on global affairs, which is my second passion outside of style and fashion and luxury. And during my school years, I took up photography and started posting to Instagram. So this is when Instagram just came up with images and no video content. And then during the pandemic, I went from photos to videos, started posting to TikTok, and that's when I really started gathering a following. And so throughout my life, being on social media has ebbed and flowed. So I think that paired with my career in communications have really prepared me for now.
And you were bored during the pandemic and said, oh, this could be an interesting sideline.
I was bored, but I was also... The story for most content creators, it happens almost inadvertently. I was just posting what I was wearing on a daily basis or posting what I was wearing to the office when we return to the office. And people were intrigued and I started going viral. And that is... It's just all history from there. Blew up from there.
You touched on a couple of those things, but you highlight your 5 beloved Fs.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Fashion, film, fast cars, flying planes, and foreign policy.
Yeah.
Is that a provocation of things that people wouldn't ordinarily expect to coexist?
I think so. But it's also, it's a culmination of everything I've loved throughout my entire life. So I was bored, I took up flying lessons because I'm like, I need a hobby. I'm too bored.
You don't sit still well, huh?
Huh?
You don't sit still well.
No, I do not sit well. And we'll talk, I don't know if we'll talk about this, but people ask me, how do you manage your career in the office and the content creation world? I'm like, I like it because I like a packed schedule. I like being places. I like doing things. I do enjoy relaxing. Someone once quoted me, someone once said, let's just go to the beach and relax. I'm like, but we're just going to sit there. What are we going to do? We can be doing things. So
during this hour, here are the 7 things we will do while we're sitting on the beach.
Let's make a TikTok, or let's talk all the things we can do. So to foreign policy is my passion. It's what I went to school for. It's what I love. I get excited when I read the news, seeing what's happening across the world.
You are literally the only person who has said that in the last year.
No, it's scary, but it's intriguing because it's personalities clashing at such a grand level. And unfortunately, sometimes those clashes, or when they come together, have impact on real people's lives. And that is what I'm interested in, seeing that translation from decisions being made at the top, dripping down to our daily lives. This is not a political podcast, but yeah.
It's not, and it's hard to avoid that in the world. I mean, I felt recently that if the consequences weren't so high, it would be a particularly fascinating time to be alive, because all of the conventions of the things that we thought were immovable are getting changed on a daily basis.
Yeah. On a daily basis, I say, this was not on my bingo card.
It wasn't on the backside of the bingo card. It was nowhere in the stack of bingo cards.
Yeah.
I'm curious on the duality of style and work, because I think you have a very particular style that is different than I am just wearing clothes for the sake of wearing clothes. How would you describe your style, and where did that come from? How has it developed?
I've always loved fashion. I've always loved style. I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Houston. I come from very humble beginnings. And so when I was growing up in Texas, that passion for style and fashion, I either created stuff for myself, so I learned how to sew to make my own ready-to-wear. It wasn't ready to wear. It was falling apart.
By the time it was done, it was ready to wear for a moment until the seam came out.
And I would pour hours and hours over Vogue, Elle, W magazine, and that is where I really honed my style and learned how to dress myself by looking, because we didn't really have social media in the late aughts. We did not have even digital platforms like Vogue.com as an example. So it was everything that was encapsulated in those magazines, and I would look through that, and that's where I developed my style. And I would experiment. What works for me? What doesn't work for me? What do I like? So that's what I grew up in, and What
did your parents make of that? Was this a world that they were familiar with at all?
No, my parents they're immigrants, and for them, I mentioned earlier that they wanted me to pursue a traditional career. And so for them, they're like, this is good that you have this interest, but you really need to focus on your studies. And I'm the eldest daughter, so you got to set an example for the rest of your siblings. And I honed that style I draw a lot from growing up in Texas. So I love denim. I love a denim on denim look. I love hats. I wear hats on a daily basis. Taking my lived experiences, but taking from what I was seeing during my travels and encapsulating that into a very traditional office outfit. For example, I've worn a suit, but then I've layered it with a latex shirt. So that's like that edge to a very traditional look. Or I've worn a suit with a Maison Michel hat, adding a dramatic flair to an otherwise traditional / boring, dare I say, suit.
And when I have this image of you do these great videos going to work. Here you are leaving your apartment, here you are getting on the train, and then you show up at the office in your public sector job, and you sit down in your cube. And are your coworkers confused by you? What do they make of you?
No, they know I am... I wonder if I can say this. So when I enter my office, my boss actually sits as soon as I open the office, and she's, oh, I like that outfit. So I get a
That's the first rating. Jury of the day.
I get a rating that's where I can be like, okay, yeah, this is a good outfit, or this sits well, or this doesn't sit well. So
has her eye become more discerning over time?
Oh gosh, no, she's complimentary.
Yeah.
She's my boss. She can say anything, but she's complimentary.
And as you think about moving from, all right, I'm going to take a picture of what I'm wearing today, to I am actually creating these, I don't know if you think about them as miniature worlds, but it is storytelling. There very much is, and I think one of the things that is so compelling about you and your content is it's irreverent, it's cheeky. Has that always been that way? Was that intentional, or that's just, hey, I'm just being me?
I wouldn't say I was a class clown, but I always strove to be the class clown. And life is so serious. I always like to add a level of playfulness in everything I do or what I say. And so that cheekiness comes in from that lightheartedness, that this is, yes, it's serious environment, but I can perhaps lighten it up through my outfit. Or this is a very serious outfit, I can be a bit more playful with it.
I'm fascinated by the way that brands exist in the eye of the brand and the way in which people actually bring them into their lives and use them. Yeah. So we're just sitting here and you have a beautiful handbag, but you have created so much content that's taking the piss out of it a little bit, to use a British expression, that we venerate these objects, we put them up on a pedestal, and oh, it's a Birkin, oh, it's a Kelly. And then you're like, yeah, and I'm skateboarding with it. Or I'm stacking it while I'm on my way to 39J.
Yeah, it's because they're beautiful things, and I appreciate the brand's view and the artisan who's crafted this product, but it's your thing to love, and you wear it, and if it brings you joy, I look at this, and my bag has scratches all over it, but it's my thing. I'm going to live with it the way I live my life. And perhaps some people they live their life in a very contained way. That's how they live their life. But for me, yes, I skateboard, I take the subway, and so I'm going to take it with me because I'm not going to let an object prevent me from enjoying and living my life.
I think that there are some people who own an object, and there are some people who are owned by the object. And the question is, okay, do you bring this into your life, and does this amplify who you are and what you are doing, rather than going, oh, now I'm a Birkin girl? You're like, no, I am now myself who has this thing. Yeah. I always say, whatever brings you joy. And if you feel good about keeping your bag on it, that's what makes you happy, that you own a bag, but you are able to keep it safe, you do that, girl. But for me, I don't know if you came across that story. I actually, again, going back to growing up in Texas, I saw the Birkin bag, and I did a bit of research into it. I was like, oh, this bag is so beautiful. I think, at the ripe old age of 15. Like, this bag is beautiful. I was reading about the story with Jane Birkin and how the bag came about to be. And I was like, oh, one day I'm going to get this bag at 15. And then when I was able to purchase the bag, as this bag is difficult to get, I wasn't able to get it, and I was like, I actually don't want any other bag. I'm going to wait. And I ended up waiting for, I think, 5 to 6 years, and I did not buy a single handbag, if you can believe it. I didn't buy a Chanel bag or Bottega. I was tempted so many times. I think there was a Bottega bag or a Celine bag that had come out, and I was like, no, I'm going to wait because that is the bag I want. And I think it was this bag. It ended up being my first designer bag because that's what I wanted, and now I love it. And despite me anticipating and waiting to purchase this bag, I wanted to use it. I was so excited to wear it in different ways and incorporate it into my life fully. Does that add to its meaning or desirability for you that you had to wait for it and that it was hard to get?
Yeah, we always, when we anticipate something, we're like, oh, so excited to wear this.
But it sounds like the reality of it lived up to the promise. It did what it said on the tin. Yeah,
100%. The cost per wear on the bags paid. I've used it so often. I've loved it a lot. It's, I guess, in some way you can attribute the story that I shared on social media. I guess you can attribute my content creation growth to it as well. But yeah, it's definitely lived up to everything that I anticipated and everything I waited for. I think some people talk about their kids that way. I never talk about a bag.
I know the watch world better than I know the bag world. But for, I don't know, I guess really since 2021, it's been very difficult to buy certain watches. And I'm curious what that does to demand and desirability over time. A little bit of hard to get I think increases demand.
Yeah.
But if it's never attainable, do people go and do something else? Yeah, I was going to buy a Rolex, but instead I'm going to go take a trip to Hawaii.
I think people, true lovers, people who are not just chasing trends, and Hermès isn't chasing trends. They've consistently done what they've done. So if a brand makes it hard to get a watch, but they consistently, their output is consistent, it's the same, the story's the same. When people return from that vacation from Hawaii, they're going to see the watch and they're going to be like, oh yeah, maybe next time I'm not going to go on that trip. I'm going to try to wait for the watch. But then there are brands who there's hype around a product and then you can't get the product, and then the hype downs because the brand has gone in a new direction to follow some other hype or some other trend. And then people forget why they fell in love with that specific product or the story behind that product. So I think for brands, it's consistency. And Hermès, there are a few brands that do this, but I think Hermès has consistently done the same thing again and again, the same story. And that's why people there's that familiarity. When they see it, they remember why they love the brand and they go back to it.
And they have been more successful over the last 20 years than anybody else. And I think that there's been particularly a separation in the last year as you've seen these very hype-driven brands.
Yeah. I think brands are starting to realize that. And Hermès has that consistent story, but woven into their narrative is this is not just a bag that we've produced. It's actually come from an artisan's labor and love. There's one artisan who works on a bag, and there's usually the Kelly bag. Before it was called the Kelly, it was something else, but they linked it to Grace Kelly and the infamous Time photo. And then the Birkin bag, there's a story there woven in with the story of the artisans. I think other brands are starting to realize that, the Louis Vuitton and Pat McGrath launch a lipstick for that price, but people would buy it because it's an artisan that people love and trust, Pat McGrath, who's been in the industry and who's proven her magic in the makeup world and her craft, and they're taking a lipstick, which is just, at the end of the day, it's not this magical lipstick that's going to last for 10 hours or whatever, but they've created a story there. It's a luxury product paired with an artisan who people know and trust. And I think brands are starting to realize that, and they're coming up with creative ways to weave that into their different offerings.
I'm fascinated by that example because I don't understand much about lipstick. This is well out of my realm. But what is the job to be done there? What does a lipstick do? And what is the difference between a $10 Revlon lipstick and a $165 LV lipstick?
Nothing. Just as what's the difference between an Hermès bag and any other bag? It's a piece of leather put together by a couple of stitching. Yes, there will be differences in craft. There will be differences in the sense it's Pat McGrath's, for the Louis Vuitton lipstick, it's that it was Pat McGrath's vision behind it. Revlon's lipstick, who was the visionary behind it? Was it a group, an entity who just said, okay, we're going to call this pastel pink and let's put it out and it's going to be matte, versus Pat McGrath had thought of the formula or thought of the colors and the name, and at the end of the day, it's just a lipstick. It's what relates to your story. Do you want to wear the lipstick that Pat McGrath designed because you look up to her or you admire her for her craft, or you just want to add some color to your lip? And the $10 Revlon lipstick is amazing as well.
And does it feel different when you put it on because of that?
I have not tried the Louis Vuitton lipstick yet. Louis Vuitton did not send me the PR package. I need to...
Note to LV PR department.
Exactly. I have not tried that. But also, I don't think I've worn a Revlon lipstick in a while. I am a YSL or Guerlain girl. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a difference. Now I'm going to go buy a Louis Vuitton lipstick.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious. And because I think there is a difference. You can go and buy a cloth tote bag and use that to carry your phone and your wallet and whatever. But it does feel different to carry something else.
Yeah. It feels different to carry something else. And I think it's, as humans, of course, we have our internal confidence in how we feel, but we are also validated by how others look at us. And so if I'm walking down the street in a designer handbag versus a cloth tote, people are going to look at you differently. That's just the realities of our world. And so if you are applying a lipstick, once it's on your lip, it's just color. But if you're out there and someone's looking at you, or you're on social media doing your get ready with me, so you're doing your makeup and you're using a Revlon lipstick versus a Louis Vuitton lipstick, that signals what kind of person you are, how you think of yourself.
How do you think about getting dressed for yourself versus your boss versus for the hundreds of thousands of people who, might see you when you share?
Yeah. Getting dressed for myself when I'm going out, as in I'm like running errands, or just getting dressed when I'm at home? I'm wearing sweatpants and a large t-shirt. But when sorry, you were saying?
No, keep going. I think that's the question, right? What is that personally meaningful? And is that interior focus? Is it exterior focused? What is the play between those?
There's a good chunk of exterior focus, especially when I'm stepping out of the door. It also depends on the situation. When I'm running errands, about 99% of the time, I am dressed up in some capacity. Even if it's a denim-on-denim Canadian tuxedo, I will add, for example, a Chanel brooch, or I'll wear a hat from either Maison Michel or another brand that I love. Sometimes I'm a bit more dressed up. Sometimes I'm tweaking what I'm wearing, because I wouldn't wear everything I wear when I'm out at dinner to the office. As much as I'm like, I do not distinguish, like I just wear whatever I want, I do tailor what I'm wearing to the office a bit to be appropriate, especially if I'm having meetings with clients and stakeholders. I would put on a jacket even if it's on top of a latex top, versus if I'm just going out for dinner with friends, I would probably not wear that jacket, just wear the latex top. So there's always that exterior focus, keeping in mind who is the audience and how do you want to be perceived. Really early on in my career, I worked in government relations in Texas, and really early on in my career, I realized people, like, you have to dress for the job you want and how you want people to perceive you, not just how you perceive yourself. And if you are dressed in a certain way and you are confident, you can walk into almost any room. And people forget, I think they're like, we have to just dress professionally. It's, no, don't just dress how you want, but dress how you want to be in the future.
We've talked a lot about big, shiny brand names. Mm-hmm. My sense is that you mix those with things that are much more accessible.
Yeah.
Are there certain items that have to be couture and a gray t-shirt can be from the Gap? Or how do you think about high-low styling?
I think the highs have to come from the craft. For example, a blazer. A great tailor is going to tailor a great design, or a designer is going to get a blazer exactly proportioned and cut and draped in a way that fits your body, or at least most bodies, unless you're getting custom and bespoke. So pieces, big pieces like bags, jackets, pants, slacks or trousers especially, and blazers and jacket. I think I already mentioned jacket. Those are pieces I tend to lean more towards designers, because the draping is done a bit, but it's going to last me a longer time. I can wear it season after season. Everyday pieces, for example, I have a set, and I think I'm wearing one today, tank tops. I think I have 20 from Target, and I just cycle through them. And I'm not too they're everyday use, but they don't need to be super beautiful, and I don't really care if it has a little logo in the middle or not. So the pieces that I tend to buy more of designer are the pieces that I think I'm going to wear across seasons, across the different environments I'm going to be, and that I know are going to fit me really well. And then everyday, t-shirts and some jeans, I will buy whatever I like if I'm at Target or Walmart.
Does it differ on, and maybe the answer is every day is an opportunity for, I'm going to make an impression.
Yeah.
But are there ever those days where I just want to put on a pair of Lulus and go to the grocery store and get my milk?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Earlier last week, I was at the Toronto International Film Festival, and I walked 4 red carpets in beautiful gowns. But after those 4 days, I was like, I want the loosest pair of sweatpants, and I want the baggiest sweatshirt, and that's it. And I do not even want to put on mascara I just want to hang out and chill and just decompress. So there are days when I think this often happens when I'm doing a ton of events back to back or after fashion weeks. I just want to mellow out for a bit before I'm at it again.
And how do things like that come about? How do you go from being a professional to being someone who is getting outreach from these companies and saying, oh yeah, we want you to attend all of these events, and oh, we'd like to dress you, and can we send you this?
A lot of it's relationship building. So there are oftentimes brands will reach out, they'll invite you to an event. I am particular about what I say yes to. And so if I say yes to a brand, then in my mind, I've committed myself. I'm going to build a relationship with them over the next X amount of months. And so the reaching out, attending a red carpet or something like a red carpet or fashion show, that relationship begins usually 8 months in advance, where both of us are testing out the waters. And there'll be some engagement, and I'll also see whatever the product is, whether it's a beauty product or a tech product or just the clothing that the brand has, how that resonates with me, but also how it resonates with my audience, because they're important to me. And audiences are smart; they can sniff out when you're posing or you're.
You don't need to see the ad tag at the end to know that like, somebody's.
Okay. Yeah, girl, get that check.
The promptering this.
Yeah, and then we build that relationship, and then come these big events, whether it's an invitation to a concert or a global brand trip or a red carpet experience. It culminates in that after having built up that relationship through various engagements, and both of us feel good. But in terms of, I manage myself fully, so I'm pitching myself to brands, whether it's brands coming to me or I'm pitching myself to brands, that relationship starts. And then when it comes to these events, I work with various designers, makeup artists, hairstylists, and the brand, of course, to put this event, my look for the event together. And yeah. That's how the sausage is made.
That's how the sausage is made. I'm interested on the management piece.
Yeah.
Because you have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And another full-time job and a third full-time job.
Yeah.
Have you ever been tempted to grow the team, to bring in somebody from the outside, or does that sense of loss of control just go, yeah?
I have been tempted, and I do hire people for big events like a red carpet. I'll hire like a creative director to support me, a photographer, and then a makeup team. But I try to minimize that, A, because it's a lot to manage, and then B, it is that loss of control. But when it comes to these events, I have a vision, and sometimes I'm not the best communicator. I'm a manager in my day job. I lead a team, but sometimes this is like a thing of my own, a fault of my own. I have a hard time communicating exactly what's in my head. And when we're in such tight, high pressure environments, I don't want it to be, I didn't communicate something and something didn't happen. And then I'm upset because it didn't happen. No fault to them, but I'm like, I'd rather do it myself. But this is something I'm working on, something I need to learn how to delegate, and I'm hoping I master that and hopefully take a bit of pressure off myself, because it's a lot.
There is a trade-off between getting exactly what you want and your ability to grow, your ability to scale. I think we see that a lot in our business, that it's a particular challenge with very talented creative people. I have a vision and something is going out with my name on it. I think it's probably even more clear when not only is this product going out with this name on it, I am the product.
Yeah.
And so for someone else to have a hand in that requires a huge degree of trust.
Yeah. And there are a lot of stakes. There's a financial stake. There's also your name attached to it. But then there are certain expectations. If a brand is taking you to an event, that the expectations the brand has. And now the brand is not going to go to the person who did not deliver. They're going to come to you and say, why didn't you do this? So all those pressures culminate in me saying, okay, I can just do this myself. Yeah.
I'm curious about Toronto as a location. You're an American citizen?
No, I'm actually Canadian.
Okay. Toronto is the most important city in Canada.
Yeah.
It is not the most important fashion city in the world. It is not the most important fashion city in North America. Is it adding to your distinctiveness that you are a Canadian operating primarily in Toronto? Or Do you ever get tempted to go, oh, all right, this is like becoming a thing. I need to be in New York because that's where all the action is.
This is the quintessential, do you want to be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond? I like Toronto because...
Or are we all in the same pond anyway, and these distinctions are...
It's a huge pond floating in space.
There might be a couple of reeds or something in between one side of the pond and the other.
Yeah, yeah. I think there is a distinction to be in Toronto. For me, in this period of my life, being in Toronto is important. It's where my roots are for now. I've lived there for the past 8-ish years. I'm still at my day job, so it's where my day job is. I don't work remotely in an office. If I were to give that up, I think I would contemplate that question then. And then I think, do I move to New York, which is similar in climate to Toronto? You have winters and you have summers. Or do I move somewhere, do I just do a 180 and go somewhere like Paris or somewhere like Miami? So I do contemplate that question. But for now, Toronto is, it's home. It's where I've settled. And I travel a lot. So whenever I'm feeling like I need a change of scenery, I go to New York. I'm in Texas a lot, Paris a lot. And when I need that change of scenery, I just shift and, take a break and then come back home.
Yeah. How do you think about taste? Is there such a thing as good taste and bad taste?
Yes, there is such thing as good taste and bad taste. And I think it's, why are you doing what you're doing? Is it just, this is how you are? Or are you doing it because you have a nefarious intention in what you're doing? So I think there is good taste and bad taste, but driven by why? What's your intention? People do things because they want attention, or there's something they want, and it isn't, they don't always have they don't always have the best intentions. Does that answer? I feel like that was overly diplomatic response.
I'm curious what you are beating around the bush of.
There are things that I don't like.
Why is that a problem?
It's because it gives you the ick. Oh, why are you doing that? That gives me the ick. It's so transparent. You're doing this for a reason. Or can
you think of an example of that?
Of it. There was an example there was a recent example, and I think I responded to the person. I'm trying to think of what the event was, like what the occasion, like what transpired. But I remember my response being like, "I'm not a bad person, but you're making yourself look bad. Like you're making it really easy for me to judge you." But I can't remember the example. And I remember... Does
it feel like somebody trying too hard? Or it feels like somebody being somebody that they're not?
Yeah, oh, okay, now I remember. I just remembered now. I was at an event, and I go to a lot of events. I think I go to 4 events a week, 4 events a night. Wow, how am I alive? No, I go to 4 events a week, like social events after work. So I'm in the office from 9 to 5, and then I'm going to an event. And I meet a lot of people. And I'm exceptionally bad at names. Like, what is your name? No, I'm kidding, Marc. I'm exceptionally bad at it.
So if you drop it, the research says if you use it 3 times, then you have it committed to memory.
You remember, yeah. So I met someone who I had remembered him. I had met him at an event, and we were shaking hands. And I was like, oh, yeah, I feel like I've met you before. And they're like, yes, we met. Like, it was a bit aggressive. And I did a bit of a vibe check with the person I was with. And I said, was that weird, or was that in my head? And she was like, no, that was a bit aggressive. And I was like, that was so poor in taste. Like, why'd you have to do that? It just made me feel, and then I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm going to brush it off. Like, I don't care. But I thought about it. I thought about it that evening a couple of times. And then I thought, I'm not a bad person. Like, I intentionally did not remember your name. This wasn't like, I am so important, I don't remember your name. I am just bad at remembering names and remembering who people are. But this person made the situation out to be that I was posturing, and I'm like, what was your intention behind that? Why did you make it sound like I was out to get you or something? Yeah, that's poor taste. Yeah. So when I say there's good taste and bad taste, that's what I mean.
It's interesting. I would consider that, I don't know, manners or social graces, but I guess that's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you make somebody feel comfortable in a situation?
Yeah.
And maybe it's the same balance in what you're wearing. Yeah. Does this all feel purposeful? Does it feel welcoming? Or are you trying to be, I don't know, I guess some people would say that hostile can also be a taste.
Yeah, I'll give myself as an example. When I attended my first fashion show, I think it was here in New York a couple of seasons ago, I was a newbie. I was like, wide eyes. I was like, what can I expect? This is exciting. And I showed up wearing a belt as a top. with the pieces the designer had sent me because I thought it looked cool. It was a brown belt. I was wearing it as a top. And I remember I posted that video and people were like, oh, that's weird. I had posted a video of my get ready with me, like what I was wearing to the show. And the people who were commenting probably thought it was poor taste that I did not take everything that the designer had sent and worn that, but instead incorporated my own flair. They may think it's bad taste, but my intention was not to show up looking, dissing the designer, that I'm not going to wear your piece. It was just, this is my touch to this otherwise beautiful outfit.
I think it's compelling. I think that's why you want to have a lot of voices. Yeah. You wore one of our necklaces at one point and you wore it backwards.
I did.
And
I love that necklace.
That was just such a great reframe, such a great restyle. Oh, here is this thing that I can wear in a slightly different way. That was not thumbing your nose at the intent of the creator. I don't know. Do you think about that as I want to do something that's a little bit provocative, or you're just like, oh, this is cool?
I always want to do something that's interesting.
What does interesting mean?
Interesting is like something different. How can I add my own touch to it? But I'm also thinking from a marketing perspective, like what are people going to find interesting? Yes, there are a million beautiful girls. There are a million influencers. How can I be different? And what is also my value add to this huge sphere of fashion voices, style voices? What's my value add? And so my value add is that like a little push of how can I push the boundaries of whatever it is I'm wearing a necklace backwards, wearing a belt as a top, wearing a scarf as a dress or a shirt, whatever.
Wearing a tie stacked with $20,000 worth of rings.
Yeah. Oh, that was a fun one. It's always, what's my value add? Like, you're watching me. What am I offering to you in terms of style advice, humor, or connection? So that's what I'm thinking when I'm getting ready, or specifically when I'm showing something to my audience on my platforms.
How aware are you of the algorithm and the way that the giant box in the sky responds to this? My guess is your stock and trade is, I want people to see this, and the mysteries of the universe decide how this gets out.
It's the success is hard work meets timing. You put in the effort into making sure it's an engaging video. That's your effort. And timing is the algorithm, just like the perfect time of enough people commented something in the first, hour or so, and then it just takes off. So there are times that I like to post at. I do like to post content that I know my audience, the algorithm thinks my audience likes. So if I posted a car review tomorrow, people are like, what the heck? What is this? What is she on? She only likes planes. She
doesn't have much opinion about this. Yeah. Tell us about the new Cessna. That's more interesting than...
And so I am aware of the algorithm in the sense I know what my audience likes. I think I know what my audience likes. There are lengths on different platforms in terms of what performs well on various platforms and in what capacity. I'll give the distinction between TikTok. TikTok is like FaceTiming your best friend. Instagram is like FaceTiming your boss. You have to be a bit more polished for it. Yeah, so there are differences that I've learned. Again, my background is in communication, so I know that from a professional standpoint, but just taking those learnings and I try to incorporate it when I'm putting content out.
Do you respond emotionally when things are successful or unsuccessful?
I do not believe it. Like, I still cannot believe I'm here. Sometimes things happen, and this is my approach to life. I constantly like to be in awe of what is happening because that is what keeps me grounded, and that's what excites me and inspires me for the future. So, like, I'm aware to a certain degree of this thing that I've built, but I don't like to let it get to my head. And just as if I was still just growing, just starting out, like posting my first video or something.
Do you worry about its durability?
In what sense?
In the sense of, is this going to continue to grow?
Yeah.
Do I have the ability to do this forever?
I do. If you look at yes, because if I look back to the bloggers, content creators that started 15 years ago, they have transitioned to either becoming entrepreneurs, or they have found a way to transition them as a brand into something else, whether it's a clothing line or it's a perfume like Chris Lim, bringing forward Fleur, or it's a lifestyle product. So I do worry about that. But I also know that I am able to tackle most issues that are thrown at me, and I'm able to figure things out. So should in tomorrow I need to stop making get ready with me videos, I am thinking of like, how do I transition into something else? Something that my audience would love, something that would help me get more handbags and keep up with my lifestyle. That is, I was just having this conversation with someone, another content creator yesterday, and we were talking about Substack. And we were talking about the evolution of content creation. So I have been online since I was like 15, 16, producing some sort of content. I used to have a blog, and then that was all written in pictures, and Tumblr, all pictures and blurbs. And then we went to photos on Instagram, and then transitioned to videos on YouTube and TikTok. And now we've like come full circle. Substack, back to written word.
This brand new thing. You go, no, it's the same thing we were doing 20 years ago.
Yeah. So I think learning how to adapt is probably the best skill a creator can have as new platforms come about, and learning how to adapt within a way that's familiar to your audience. So if you're like doing a complete 180 tomorrow, people are going to be a bit shocked, and I don't know, maybe they won't be as invested.
Do you feel like you have a relationship with the people who are consuming your content?
Yeah, I do. I try to respond to as many messages I get, and not just, oh, thank you or hi. I try to personalize it a bit, because they're taking the time to watch my content. Again, there are a million, I don't remember the stat, but like the amount of video and content that is uploaded every single day just in the fashion world, it's astronomical. And like they've taken the time to watch it. And so for me, it's in a way, I do this for them. I do it for myself, but I also do it for them. I share it with them. It's probably a better way of putting it. And so I don't listen to the negativity, but people's opinions and what they have to say, I do take into, and I like see like, how can I tweak this? How can I incorporate that feedback into what I'm doing?
Do you remember the first time someone you didn't know came up to you on the street and said, oh, yeah, are you Sommyyah?
Yeah. And they're like, I follow you. And I was like, why? It's always when someone comes up to take a photo, or someone says, oh, I love your content. I love it. I'm a people's person. And so having that connection, talking to them, it's always lovely. And it's a good feeling. It's also, I suppose, an inadvertent token or fruit of all the labor, right? It's, oh, I'm being recognized positively for what I think. Like, I think this is good. Other people might not, but it's a validation. Like, oh, okay, people do like this.
And what are people taking from it? Are people inspired to wear a belt as a top?
I don't know that, but last night I had a conversation with someone, and they were saying, so I travel a lot, and I'm an overpacker. I'm just going to say, I'm an overpacker. I probably have 4 lipsticks in this bag. Why? I don't need them. And
we know that none of them are the Pat McGrath or the Revlon. What's in my bag?
Yeah. But I had done this hack where I had used one of my belts as a contraption to hold my bag. So when I'm moving around, it just doesn't fall off, because I have my laptop in there and all the contents of my bag are going to spill onto the airport floor. Disgusting. And that went super viral. Was it Hart? The Filipina actor and socialite, she did it. And someone last night was like, oh, I love your hack so much. I always use it when I'm traveling now. And I was like, I love that so much that people have found utility in my wackiness.
Utilitarian wackiness. That's a great thing. Tell us, what are you wearing today?
I am wearing, so this is actually me. And this is when I was putting this outfit together, I'm like, oh yeah, this is me and my core. So this is tweed. This is a tweed blazer from Sergio Hudson. I don't wear tweed, but this is a tweed made out of denim. And I love denim. So this is a blazer from Sergio Hudson. Walmart tank top.
Nice.
And I'm wearing a leather skirt from Veronica Di Pianti. It's like a cute 60s leather skirt. And jewelry, I am wearing a few pieces from Hermès, a ring, an earring. And then I have this Anika Inez heart ring from At Present.
It's a beautiful ring.
It's my favorite piece. I wear it all the time. I love it so much. I think when you are bringing something into your wardrobe, this is my personal style philosophy, but I think if I can offer, I don't know if I should be, but okay. If I can offer a piece
your
of
show,
advice,
you can do whatever you want.
If I can offer a piece of advice and someone actually asked me, like, what advice do you have for young influencers or new influencers just starting out? Like, incorporate pieces and really wear them because that's who you are. So I love pieces like this heart ring. It's a bit whimsical. It's a signet ring, which is a very traditional piece of jewelry, but the whimsy of it is the heart. And it's just me. So no matter where I am, what I'm doing, I always wear this ring. And now, like, people will ask, where's that ring from? Or it's just a signature piece of jewelry that is very Sommyyah.
And a beautiful ring, but done in a relatively humble material. Mm-hmm. And as you're wearing 18 karat gold and diamonds and sapphires, there's something I love about mixing that. This is a wonderfully crafted piece of jewelry, but it's, I don't know, $250, $300,
I think it's
like that.
That's a price point, yeah. And that is the beauty of it. I fell in love with this, so I'm going to wear it no matter what. And it does not matter to me a great deal. Size and fit obviously matters to me. But yeah, the material and that stuff does not matter to me.
No, and I love the look of it. And I love that Anika is a very talented and intentional artist who created that for a reason.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think that the heart is such an interesting thing because it can be such a saccharine object. And the way that this is done is just in such an elevated way. And I think here is a Scandinavian cool version of a heart ring that you, who are like the most elegant person in the world, are rocking every day. I love all of the pieces of that.
Yeah. It's my favorite piece. This is actually my second one because my sister took the first one.
Nice. That's how you know it's good.
Yeah.
Are there pieces that you are dreaming about now? You talked about the 5 or 6 years that you were aspiring for the Birkin and waking up in the middle of the night thinking longingly about it. Are there other things that you wish you had in your life?
A timepiece. I know this is your world.
Yeah.
You're the expert. I'm thinking of purchasing a timepiece. That sounds like the beginning of a story. I'm thinking of purchasing a timepiece. That's the missing component of my wardrobe. I don't wear watches. I have small wrists and not a lot of watches fit them. So I'm looking for something that I can wear every single day that has a story. And I think I've found one. I haven't bit the bullet yet because, it's Reverso Duetto. And I think the story behind it is, I love pieces that have a story behind them.
Yep.
And the story behind that watch is incredible. When I first read it, I'm like, oh, I love this. This is so Sommyyah. But I want a very specific one. And I was actually at the boutique here in New York yesterday. I haven't seen that one specifically, that in the colorway that I want. And so when it comes around, I will purchase it.
And what is that story? I love that watch. My wife gave me a Reverso as a wedding gift, and I'm similarly compelled by it. But I'm curious what in that...
The story is the watch was designed for polo players because they would wear the watch and the glass. And, you're going to have to pardon me. I do not know the right terminology for timepieces. But the glass...
The crystal, if you want.
Would get shattered or it would get scratched or ruined because they're polo players. They're on horses. They're running around. And the watch was designed to be flipped. And originally, the back had a metal backing. And so you would just have a metal plate up top, and if that got scratched, you can buff it out very easily. Yeah. Versus scratch, you can't really buff out cracks. Yep. So that was how it was designed, and I love how it's a fashion piece that came out of utility. I love those kind of stories. And now JLC has innovated on that, where they have put 2 watches on 2 sides. And my joke is, I'm always running late. I think I have a series on TikTok and Instagram where I say was late for X and had to get ready on the way.
Yeah.
And so my thing is I'm always running late. And so I need more time. And so I need 2 faces on a watch.
The even better part of the origin story that I love, and just how like idiosyncratic this product is, the British officers who were playing polo, it didn't occur to them they were just going to take off the watch.
I know.
Talk about over-designing the solution.
Have you thought about, there was that, I don't even know if the story is true, like astronauts were going into space and engineers were trying to figure out how to design a pen that wouldn't leak. Have you thought of using a pencil?
I don't know. And I've seen that also. The sort of the apocryphal joke about that is that the Americans spent millions of dollars designing a pen, and the Russians the Soviets took a pencil. I don't know if that's true or not,
but it's such a hilarious story.
Totally. And there is something fun. And particularly, I don't know, I think it's one of the things that delights me most about materialism and intentional materialism is you don't need any of these things. And so when you decide to bring something into your life, that's part of the whimsy of it.
Yeah. 100%.
What's next for you?
I am here in Europe for Fashion Week. I'm going to go back to Toronto for a couple of weeks. We're working on a big project in the office. And then I am off to Paris for Paris Fashion Week, and I'm really excited for that. That's the immediate future. In terms of long-term future, I get this question all the time. Do you offer styling services? And I'm toying with the idea because I know how to style myself well, and a lot of my style is driven from my stories, my life experiences, what I know works for my figure. But I'm toying with this idea of could I provide advice to others in a more one-on-one way, or maybe it's 1-on-10 way on how to style themselves? So I've been toying with that idea for a bit.
And you flagged Substack and the return to blogging. Is that something we're going to see from you?
Yes. So I started this year, to give you a bit of context, this year I started a YouTube channel, and I love video content. It's so fun. But the amount of work that goes into producing, for example, a 10-minute YouTube video it's a lot. And I quickly found, after having put out 3 videos, I was sacrificing a lot of time. And so I have a lot of ideas that I want to communicate and that I think people would find interesting, my audience would find interesting, whether it's commentary on the fashion world or it's just my own thoughts on different ways of styling things. And I think the easiest way I can get them out outside of TikTok, outside of Instagram, is written form. And in my view, Substack has the same kind of dedication that a subscriber on YouTube would have, but it's a bit more focused because YouTube, you can put it on, have it on in the background, but Substack, you're committed.
You're leaning in.
You're leaning in. You're reading closely and following along. So yeah, I have, I think, one post up there talking about it. I was in the Wall Street Journal and I was talking about that. So I think that's the only post I have now, but more to come.
And also gets around the gatekeeping of the algorithm. All right, I have decided I want to subscribe to you, and so I get your content.
Yeah, directly in my inbox. Yeah, and I put it out, like I can put it out at 3 a.m., but you would have it in your inbox when you're looking at your emails or when you're logging into Substack versus the algorithm. Sometimes I feel I have to post at a certain time because that's when my audience is online, or that's when I think most of my audience is going to see it. And this internal fear that if I post, I put a lot of work into my videos, and so if I posted and then I'm like, oh, I know people are interested in it, but they're not going to see it because the algorithm is working against me. Yeah.
Before we go, I have one behind-the-scenes question that's always fascinated me. When you are getting ready on the subway, how do you come in and set up the camera? Do you run in, put it in, and then come back out and walk back in?
Yeah.
And you know that the train is going to leave at a certain time? Are you at the beginning of the line?
I do time it. It's when you're putting, this is a very low-scale production, but like when movies are being put together, everything is timed. So I have everything set up. I'm ready. I have the makeup that I'm going to wear in my bag, and I know exactly what stop I'm going to get on and what stop I'm going to get off, and I choreograph it based on the stops. They're like main intersection stops, so the doors are going to be open for a bit longer, but there's always that risk where I'm like, what if the doors close and it's just recording?
And what are the reactions that you get from people when you're doing this?
They're mainly positive. This concept of getting ready on the way was derived, it's a caricature actually, I should say, of when we're running late to either school or work and we do our makeup as women, or if whoever wears makeup, you're doing your makeup during your morning commute or during your commute. And it was a caricature of that, but just like in a different setting. And so the reactions are like, oh, she's doing her makeup, but then, oh, she's filming herself. So they're funny. I've never had a rude or unpleasant reaction. They're mainly funny. Like, people will stand in the background and wave, and it's received well.
She's bringing her mirror. Her mirror is just a digital rectangle.
Yeah.
Sommyyah, thank you.
Thank you
for talking with me. Such a pleasure to get the opportunity. For people who are not in your universe yet, where can they find you on all of the things?
I am on TikTok and Instagram. I'm also on YouTube, and I'm on Substack, but more content coming soon.
And all under your name?
All under my name, Sommyyah, Sommyyah.
Thank you to Sommyyah. Thank you to all of you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to rate and review, and follow Sommyyah everywhere she is and everywhere she will be. The Materialist is a presentation of At Present, matchmaker to extraordinary jewelry. We'll see you next time.